Okay, welcome everyone, and apologies for the confusion that happened now. I hope it's all sorted, and this time you didn't have a problem joining in. So, can you please make Dr. Prashanti co-host and also Swati Dhariwal the co-host? Yeah. So let's begin now. And yeah, so welcome to this session. This is the second part of the session on handling fevers the right way. How many of you actually attended or watched the first part of the session? Because it's very important that we have the basic understanding of how to handle fevers naturally. We had an extensive presentation and discussion last time about fevers. What is a fever? What is the body trying to do? How do we handle it naturally? We also spoke about the myth of infections, viruses, and all these things. Okay, so I'm heading over to the chat section. Yeah, so some of you are saying you attended. I think most of you have either attended or watched, or if not, at least have the understanding of these topics. So let's begin with this session where today we are going to actually work on the basis of session one, build up on the understanding, and discuss today based on cases, right? So we are going to take like practical cases who have come to us with fevers for various reasons, and we will have a discussion based on that, and then try to understand what happened there and what was the body trying to do. Was it managed right or was it not managed right? And we also have a few speakers who have come today to share their experience on fevers and how they handled it, what happened. So I won't be spending too much time on introductions today because we already started late. So I'm Asha Shivram. I'm a Nature Cure health coach, and I've been doing this coaching and presenting for quite some time now, 7+ years. And we also have Swati Dhariwal, who is a senior Nature Cure practitioner and health coach. She has worked extensively on all kinds of cases, very complex cases. She was privileged to get this knowledge and experience from her father, who used to have a nature cure center in Chennai, if I'm right. And now she runs Antaha, which is one of the very few pure nature cure centers. It is based in Vellore, and she's here also this time to share her deep knowledge of this subject. Also, along with us is Dr. Prashanti Atluri. Dr. Prashanti is based in the US. She is a cardiovascular disease specialist from Louisiana, but she is very well versed and has a lot of experience in natural healing methods, and she will be presenting a lot of cases today to help us understand through this session. So we are very happy to welcome her back to the session. Also, we have Dr. Prajakta Patil. I'm not sure if she has joined. Dr. Prajakta is a young doctor who is very passionate about spreading nature cure, and she's trying to integrate it into her practice. She will be here soon. And along with us is Divyansh Gupta. Many of you know him. Divyansh is also a passionate nature cure practitioner, natural hygienist, and very passionate about children's health issues. And he's also going to be talking today. And also Dr. Ranjita is here today with us. Dr. Ranjita is a holistic dentist who practices in Bangalore, and she's also a Nature Cure health coach. So I hope I didn't miss out anyone, but let's start and go ahead. Yes, Nandini, you can make me the host. So while I show the presentations, Dr. Prashanti, would you like to start?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Asha. And thanks everybody who has joined the meeting. I mean, I wish more people can join. What is more important than having a free session of nature cures and understanding all these things? So, is it a
Yes, so
cricket match or a
if I may
movie?
just interrupt Dr. Prashanti. So those of you who got the correct link, can you please help us out by sharing the link in your groups? Because I think not everybody is in the chat session. I mean, in the WhatsApp group which we
WhatsApp.
created. So please do forward this link to the correct link in your groups so that more people may join today. Thank
And
you.
some create some noise to wake up the parents. Like, what is more important than to learn about all these things? I don't understand this. We kind of like, put it all together, and then we kind of timed it all right. And then now this is what is happening. It's just free time, right? So anyway, so for those of you who have attended the first session, I'm pretty sure you kind of understood the little bit about it, right? But again, see, the more we review it, the more we revise it, the more, because from short term memory, it's going to go into the long term memory, and then the practical experience, all of it is going to come in. So that's why we started doing this fever diaries or fever journals or whatever you guys want to call it as. So, in order to, like, make this knowledge more available and also to tell you that this is going to work, only thing is you just have to have faith and trust. So I'm not going to waste too much of your time going over all these things. I understand everybody wants a fast forward button. So let's just go to the next slide, Asha. So today we are going to be talking about cases, because last time what happened was when we were presenting all these things, everybody was like, "Oh no, you have no idea how high my fever was. Have no idea what if the fever leads to seizures, and my doctor told me it will go to complications, and then you have no idea." So that's the reason why we kind of are trying to do this part two. So anybody wants to share their like learnings about what happened after you came to the part one, and then you had anybody raised a fever, cough, or a cold. I think there was Prachi, what's her last name? I forgot. Prachi Mutta was the one who just attended one of our Valcure seminars, webinars, and then she said she was able to implement. She understood this time. She was able to implement, and then it was like 100% accurate. So everything kind of like put like everything has lined up just like how we have talked about. So is there anybody wants to chime in? Any fever experiences since the past 6 weeks since we have done the meeting? Anybody wants to talk more about their experience? We'll just give you like five like 1 to 2 minutes. Otherwise, we will move on. Anybody has recently had a fever? Okay. Sashilpi is saying, I handled my child's fever of 3 years right after the workshop very confidently. Very, very good. Very, very good. So, what did you do in the past before you came to the workshop, before you met natural health science experts? What did you do before, and what have you done? Maybe we can talk to you, Shilpi, at the end. So, just stay tuned so I will remember your name. Anybody else? Prachi Mutta, are you here? I don't know how old your child was or how old you are. When you handle this fever. But anyone has any kind of positive experiences or any kind of experiences right after the meeting, after these 6 weeks? Just let us know. So next slide, Asha, or whoever is. So today I'm going to be like inviting natural health guides today. I'm going to be presenting different kinds of cases. Okay, so I just want to put it out here. See, we are not trying to like teach you or become white coat doctors in overnight in a webinar or something like that. This is a meeting. This is a webinar that is trying to put forth a lot of critical thinking and also to alleviate a lot of these fears surrounding fevers. Okay, so all these cases are our own real life examples. Okay, we have seen these, we have seen what has happened. So I am going to present them. This is not to shame anybody, this is not to fearmonger anybody, this is not to do anything that the mainstream is expecting, or we are not trying to dig up any kind of medical legal liability issues or any of it. Okay, so just stay calm with peace in your mind and knowledge in your hand. There is a lot more we can do, but we don't need a white coat and a white coat degree in order to understand this. So, first case, what has happened has happened. Okay, so what happened here with this fever and where did they go wrong? So this is going to be the theme of the first half of the presentation. So next slide. This is a case that came to us after this has happened. So this is a young student, young student who just came back to visit his parents for summer holidays. He must be in his early 20s, not maybe 21, 22. So he came home, he was doing finance major in Canada in one of those big universities. He came back, and then he's been he went, he started hanging out with his friends, and then, summer holidays, that's what he was trying to spend. So he had a great game of squash, then he went out to eat with his friends. He had a chole bhatura, heartful, like, he's a big fan of this Delhi food, and so he's like, I'm home, I'm going to start eating, I'm going to have all these fun times, I just came back home. So then when he went home, he was having a lot of uneasiness in his tummy. Then he said, oh, mom, I'm not feeling too well. I'm going to just go to bed. Then he went to bed. Immediately, he had to get up, and then he threw up. And then, as he was throwing up, a big amount of, like, puke came out. And then he passed out in the bathroom. Then the parents were like, oh my God, what happened to your son? There is something wrong with him. Then the parents checked his temperature. It was 102. And then immediately he passed out for a few seconds. And then he was very groggy. He's just pointing out to his tummy. He's not making sense to the parents. So they immediately, he didn't hit his head. By the way, he didn't hit his head. He just passed down gradually. And then he was rushed to one of the top hospitals in Delhi, because parents, because they can they just, I mean, they saw the child puking and then passing out. Then the fever was rising, 102, 102.4. And then the doctors were like, oh my God, he just came back from Canada, he has a fever, this is not coming down. They started initiating the hospital protocol, and multiple rounds of antipyretics were given. But still, as soon as the antipyretic was going, fever was coming down for an hour. Again, the fever was shooting up. Again, so the roller coaster ride was going on. Multiple blood cultures were done. Why do you guys know why they do blood cultures? They were like, oh my God, this is something really, we have never seen this kind of a fever. This is called as a fever of unknown origin. And then they were like, this child is coming back from Canada. Let's just test everything that is out there in Canada. So they tested him for Lyme's disease. They tested him for brucella. Brucella is like, some zoonotic kind of a disease. That's what they call it. So they tested everything under the sun, but the fever was not coming down. Fever. Anytime they give anything, it's coming down, and again it is raging up, it's raising up. And then look at all these. They even gave him steroids, they gave him drugs after drugs, and they gave him even experimental, what do you call those antibiotics, the rare kind of antibiotics. They had to, like, take the permission from government of India in order to get those antibiotics to the child. So 21 days have gone by. Somehow the fever has been kept under control. Finally, somehow the child was released home. Then he came home, and then he was feeling very weak, very tired. And then they gave him so many other medications. They told him he has to take 6 weeks, 6 long weeks of antibiotics because of whatever that was going on with him. Uh, because they don't know anything that is going on with him. They're like, we don't know what is going on, but you have this fever and you have to take 6 weeks long antibiotics because that's what the protocol is saying. And then finally, he's like, okay, now my vision is affected. I'm not able to see anything much. It's so blurry right now. So we have a child, we have a student who came from Canada, and then who is having fever episodes. Lot of health care, sick care has been administered, all the testing under the sun, everything has been done, and now the child is home. They dug up a mountain, but they couldn't find out why he's been having fever, and finally he's on, like, he was just medicated to the brim, and now he's not even able to see well. So, what do you think has happened? So, I want the natural health guides here who are very well versed in fevers, who know in and out about fevers, to explain to us the thought process. Because allopathic people, they had no clue. All they were doing was pushing, shoving, throwing whatever they have on the shelf onto this patient. But they could not. They dug up an entire mountain. Now we have a child who is totally debilitated with lots and lots of medications on him, and now he's not even able to see fully. So what do you think has happened? Asha, you want to go first, because the next case would be Swati's. So yeah, so Asha, as you know, I don't know how many have met Asha before or how many have done coaching under her, but she is one of those who can sense nonsense very easily. That I can tell you for sure. So yeah, go ahead, Asha. So what do you think has happened? What would you like, as a natural health guide? Again, for those of you who are saying, "Oh my God, what is this doctor doing here?" I'm not doing anything. I'm just trying to make you think, 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 and not to live in fear, fear, fear all the time. So just chill, calm down, and just listen to what Asha has to explain.
Yes, so as Dr. Prashanti explained, so this young student has just come back from Canada. He's visiting his house back in India. So, first of all, his body is tired, right? A long flight journey, and possibly his body clock is not yet adjusted to the Indian timings. And on top of this, as soon as he lands, he's meeting his friends after a long time, and he goes out for a party and has chole bhature with puri, right? Okay, I think chole bhature is chole plus bhature. So it is deep fried stuff plus chole with lot of spices. Possibly his tummy was not used to spices. Then the chole, many times we know what we get outside has been cooked many days in advance, possibly frozen, and then has been heated up and served. And the oil is stale, right? The oil has possibly been reused many times. So all in all, quite a dangerous combination to be to be had right after you change places. So his body was not ready and it reacted by being unable to digest that food. Many times when we take foods which are like poisons which cannot be digested, the muscles of the colon just get jammed up. So there is a spasm, and that means the food doesn't get digested properly at all. Especially when food has a lot of starch, a lot of proteins. Maybe the chole was cooked with ghee and cream and other things. So this causes a lot of fermentation and putrefaction which happens in the gut. And what does this give rise to? It gives rise to a lot of gases. So gases arising from the digestive system can be quite dangerous. It is one of the main causes of many issues, whether it is palpitations, whether it is spasms, whether it is backache, joint issues, even passing out and seizure like this boy had. So the body was going through a phase as if it was acutely poisoned. Okay, and it was trying its best to clear out the toxins, and that's what happened. And that is why the body raised a fever. So it is always the body raising a fever. It's not an infection, as we learned in the last session. So the body raised a fever, it raised the temperature in order to do more aggressive cleaning and take out all the stuff which had been accumulating inside. Unfortunately, because many of us parents are not educated, right? And having a seizure and just passing out in the bathroom can feel uh, quite distressing for the parents. So he was rushed to the hospital in the middle of a major cleanup which the body was undertaking. And then what happened? A lot of antibiotics interventions, the injections and the commotion in the hospital, the fear, all this was going on. So it is like, you're, let's say you're doing a deep cleaning of your house, right? So you brought out all the clothes from the closet, you've brought out all the mess which had been accumulating in your house for a long time because your intention is to clean up. Now let's say in the middle of all this there is heavy rain and a lot of sewage water flows into your house. Can you imagine what is the situation then? It's a bigger mess now. So always in the middle of a cleanup, a major cleanup, which is what a fever, every fever episode is, when you put aggressive treatment protocols into the body which is already fighting with, with a lot of energy to clean up all these things is now has to deal with this additional deluge. And many a times it becomes very, very hard for the body to control this, and especially when chemicals are added into the body, we cannot predict what happens. So many a time seizures result, passing out, rolling back of the eyes, a lot of things like, or delirium, the children speaking some nonsense. So this happened with my daughter also many years back when I was ignorant and did it the wrong way. And unfortunately, a lot of medicines was put into this boy during this time. So the body did its best, right? So look at how wonderfully the body still handled it in spite of all these things. So the fever unfortunately got suppressed because now the body is trying to deal with the other stuff which has come in. So the fever, the temperature which was raised by the body was brought down because now the body is trying to deal with the additional stuff. And what do we try to do? So remember the example I spoke about, that the deluge has come in. You have to do something. What will you do? You will try to gather all your important stuff and put it back in the cupboard so that it doesn't get wet because of the rain, because of the water, right? So that is what the body will do. So when it is in the midst of all these things, it will try to all the poisons or the stuff which is there in the blood, it will try to put its best inside the tissues and try to restore homeostasis. So that took some time, the 21 days or whatever it took time for the boy to recover. But then what happened is, because a lot of poisons were accumulated in the body, it will show up somewhere or the other, right, in some part of the body or the other. And that's everybody will show it up in some way or the other. And in this boy's case, it showed up as chronic irritation in the eyes. So irritation in the eyes, which they thought was again an infection which he contracted from Canada. But the truth is, it happened because of an intervention with a cleanup, right? So this is what happens, like we have heard about, let's say, chikungunya fevers. They say that with chikungunya fevers, very frequently people have joint pains for many months. But the reason is, it's not the fever which is causing the joint pain, it is all the medicines and the interventions which happened during this time, which prevented the body from doing its cleanup job fully, completely. And so there were leftovers of these toxins in the body circulating, and that results in joint pain. And so the recovery period takes longer. If only we handle the fever properly when it is going through the acute phase, we will not end up with the post fever recovery for a longer time. So I hope this was clear, and we can, I think, move forward to the next case.
Yeah,
Prashanti will
yeah.
summarize it.
So yeah, so what happened to the boy Asha afterwards? Can you maybe can you just tell like one sentence? So afterwards, they were scared of the doctors. At that point, they were like, okay, whatever damage you have done enough. So they didn't want to go back for all these eye ointments and other things and the eye examinations and all those things. So they approached Natural Health Guide. So they came through Wellcure to Asha. So just tell them, like, like in two sentences. I know it's a long case, but guys, did you understand what happened? How not to panic? And I hope there are doctors here who are like over analyzing, overthinking. See, even in my in my I have done a rigorous amount of allopathic internal medicine as well as cardiology training. Fever of unknown origin. That's what they call it. There is no fever of unknown origin. It just makes me laugh now when I hear about this term fever of unknown origin from the allopaths. There is nothing. There is the origin is from within the body. The amount of garbage that is in the body is the one that is going to raise the fever. There is nothing like a fever of unknown origin or some mysterious bugs and creatures. Look at him. They looked at all viruses, all bacteria, everything, and then they bombarded him with antivirals, steroids, antibiotics. Only. Lucky this guy is fortunate enough. Otherwise, he would have ended up with losing a limb or a kidney by then because of the amount of chemical slurry they have put into his system. So now, how did his eyes recover? Asha is going to explain in a few sentences.
Yeah, so the first thing was, reassuring the parents and educating them that what happened, why all these things happened, and telling them that it requires some time for all the damage now to be reversed. And we started them on a natural diet and healing protocol. And we asked him to, stop all dairy products, and he was also a non-veg consumer. Don't eat food from outside. alkalize your body more by eating more fruits and vegetables and take a lot of rest. So we also taught him other additional things like palming and all that, basically giving a lot of rest to the digestive system, to the physical body, and also reassuring them. And I think he also fasted, if I remember right. We asked him to fast for a couple of days, so he was able to do all those things, and he was able to recover his eyesight. So gradually, the redness went away, and he was able to recover his eyesight. But I don't remember the case very well. I don't think he actually raised a fever again as long as he was
No,
just,
no.
yeah,
I just contacted the mother. She said he's doing well.
yeah. So
He's
the
doing
thing
well.
is,
So,
so at least the damage which was done was, at least for the eyes, we were able to halt it by changing the lifestyle and diet. So the conserved energy which the body had, it put all that energy into reducing the irritation of his eyes. So yeah, so this is a lesson for all of us. So Dr. Prashanti, I don't remember if you remember exactly another case. I don't want to name the mother, but this boy's name was Rohan. He was 6 year old. It's exact same case. They were vegan, but the father, when the mom was not there, he fed the boy aloo paratha. Possibly it had some ghee, and exactly the same symptoms, falling down in the bathroom, happened, and he was admitted to the hospital. And this
oh
mom
yeah, 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 yeah.
contacted us in the night, right? And we
Our
helped
common
them.
friend. Yeah.
Yeah, we helped them to understand. But fortunately, since the mom was educated about this, she pulled the boy out of the hospital. We gave her the assurance that just get him out of the hospital, don't do any kind of interventions. And the next day, they brought him home and they tended to him at home. So, fortunately, he escaped with no major
Yeah.
symptoms.
Yeah, just with one round of flagell or something was given to him through the IV around the same time when this case came. So, you guys understood, right? Like, any questions on this quickly because we have to move. We have few more cases to deal with. So, any questions? See, we are putting some words here. We put the word of toxicity here. We put the word of conservation of energy. We kind of gave you ideas about like what happens internally with all this kind of like haphazard way of eating and innervation, and all these topics have been give up told you. I mean, we introduced all these words, vocabulary to you, natural health vocabulary to you guys. So you can build up more on this if you want to understand more, but just go, I mean, just listen to what we have to say and we just go through the flow, okay? But I can assure you as an allopath, this happens 100% of the times. All these fevers of unknown origins, this is what happens. The gut is a mess. There is a lot of mess that's going on in the gut. And that is the one that churns the garbage can and creates all these issues. So, next. So next case is what has happened has happened. Okay, then what are we going to do now? What is our next set of action? So we exhausted everything. So what are we going to do? Okay, where did they go wrong and where did we need to figure it out? So this is a case where I just had this case recently. So mom, I'm a mom. I'm like my child is 6 years old. So mother is like, my daughter has Down syndrome. So I didn't want her to get any kind of coughs, colds, or fevers. So from the age of 3, whenever she started having coughs, colds, and fevers, I gave her kadas, I gave her churnas, I gave her homeopathic immune boosters. Lot of immune boosters were given to the child. So with those immune boosters that I have given to my child, there is no fever, there is no cold, there is no cough. All of them went away. Until the age of 3, she was having lot of coughs, colds, and fevers. But now she has none because I've been giving her immune boosters. We gave all these cupcake injections, even though do you guys know what cupcake injections are? That is something to be talked about later. But any parent who knows, and you can chime in the of this in the chat. So we gave her all the cupcake injections, even though the doctor said not to give. We are vegetarians, but I give my daughter eggs and eggs and eggs and lot of milk so that she can become tall and strong. And then now she's 6 years old, doctor. daughter, she's losing patches and patches of hair. And the homeo doctor, now I took her back, and the homeo doctor said there is nothing she can do to stop the patches because that's the way her body is cleaning up, and that's not, she cannot stop that thing. So, what do I do now, doctor? So, that's what the question was. The mother came in with a lot of immune boosters. So, what kind of immune boosters are you guys giving? What is an immune booster? Do you guys know anything about it? So Asha, move on. Show the slide for the next one. So these are the patches and patches. So she's lost a lot of hair patches, like they're just covering with long hair. They're just putting it on, but then when you remove it, there is a big bald patch. So this is a 6-year-old with bald patches on her hair, and the mother is happy that the fevers are not there, the colds are not there, the coughs are not there, and she's super happy with the immune boosters and kadas and churnas. But now, what do we do with this hair loss? So next slide. So, what does a natural health coach kind of like, can you walk us through this? Asha, this is your second case, and then Swati will have the next ones. So, what do you think is happening with this immune boosters? Now, the fevers are not there. Now, the concern is not about fever, Asha. Now, the concern is alopecia. Like, why is the child losing hair? And what should they do? Anybody in this, anybody want to say anything about it? Well, guys can type it.
Sorry, I was on mute. So, for any part of the body to function well, it requires two things. One is there should be enough flow of prana shakti or nerve energy to that part, and there should be enough nutrition. Now, in this child's case, where where a lot of the hair fell off, there was an insufficient supply of both nerve energy and blood. I mean, the nutrition from the blood. Now, why did this happen? Right. So, as Dr. Prashanti said, a long history of suppression of the cleansing activities of the body. Every cold, cough, fever, loose motion, vomiting, skin rashes, whatever it is, are the body's cleansing reactions. And children get it frequently because they have higher vitality to get rid of any poisons in the body faster. And all of these were suppressed, whether it is homeo medicines or any other kadas, homemade stuff, or the modern medicines, they are all suppressors of what the body was trying to do. So the poisons were left behind in the body, right? And then additionally, all the other stuff which
You
came
were
on
learning
later
Naksha.
in life.
It was so good yesterday.
Let me just, yeah, all the other stuff which came on later in life also suppressed what the body was trying to do. So now the body is functioning with lowered power, just like, if the power supply in your house is less, every bulb, every tube light in your house is going to uh, glow with a reduced power, right? So it will be dimmer. So that's what happens. The longer we have suppressed a problem, our body's vital energy goes lower. So the body will be working with lowered functional power. Now, when the power inside the body is lower, the body is an intelligent manager. There is what is known as the law of distribution. Now, what does this law say? That whatever power is there, whatever power reservoir is there in the body will decide intelligently how much to give to each organ. When the reservoir itself holds very less power, it is going to give more of the power to the most important organs, the brain, the kidneys, the lungs, the liver, all these important organs are going to get higher portion of that power, whereas the skin, the sense organs, the hair, all these are not important for survival. So they will get less. That means they will get lesser amount of nutrition and nerve energy, and hence when that part of the body is getting lesser energy, right, it is like that abandoned child who is getting lesser attention, so it is not going to thrive, right? So that's what happens. So that was a symptom of what was happening within the body that means lowered energy because of poisons. And why the poisons, why the toxins? Because of all these suppressed fevers. So we helped the parent understand that this was what was happening. The old history of all the suppressions which happened over time, plus the homeo medicines, and the milk and the eggs in the name of helping the child have accelerated growth. All those resulted in toxemia. And once these conditions were removed, natural diet was brought in, and slowly it took around 8 months. The gut was in a mess, so that got healed. And as the nutrition to the hair started coming up again, the hair started growing back. So remember, always skin and hair will always heal slower because they have a slower growth rate, and body will prioritize this last. But still it happened, and in 8 to 9 months time, lot of the hair started growing, and today this girl is so happy she's even able to tie a ponytail. So I hope I explained this well and you
Yeah.
were able to understand what happened.
So, any parents who still, Asha, you can move the slide. Any parents still want to chase the immune boosters? Again, we're going to do another talk on immunity and all that, but still, you guys still think there is something like an immune booster? There are so many people who come to us taking Swarnabhasmam, Like, see, I don't have anything against any modalities, but the thing is, there is nothing like an immune system. There is nothing like an immune system. So write it down somewhere because next time we're going to talk about it. But today I'm just going to plant the seeds. There is nothing like an immune system. So what are you doing to boost the immune system? There is no immune system itself. So don't do such kind of things because this all you're trying to do is you understand that fever is the cure. So why are you trying to stop the cure? Then this is what is going to happen. So this slide, I think we're going to talk more later. Next, move to this next slide. Any questions on immune boosters? Anything on this? So you have to understand that this runny nose, everything, every kind of like, the cough, the cold, the fever, the diarrhea, the headache, all these things, the sore throat, whatever these things are, these are nothing but your body cleaning up and stopping these. What we call them in natural hygiene, suppressions of these symptoms with medications or with cupcakes or with anything will ultimately lead to lot of chronic conditions. So what kind of chronic conditions, can you name few of them? We can move to the next slide. I think we are kind of running behind on time. So, what kind of chronic conditions are we talking about? So, now it's case number 3. What has happened has happened. Now, what should we do now going forward? So, next slide. So, now this is a case. Swati is going to be talking about it. I'm going to do an intro of Swati once I finish the case, when presenting this case. This is my own daughter, anyway. So, fever. It started all of a sudden. She was just doing very well until the afternoon. Then the rashes kind of came all over, and then so she was she was like fever and rash. She was just beautiful, looking at all these red tiny spots on her body, and she was like, oh my god, I have these red spots that I'm going to show to my friends, and then I'm going to get all the attention I need. So then the mother and I was like, okay, fever came on. Then I was majority of the moms will give all kinds of what kind of cupcakes will be given in order to avoid any kind of pox fevers, chicken pox, then measles, and then all kinds of things, whatever they can give, right? So then they started feeding. The mother started feeding the child with cooling foods. She calls up the mother. The mother says, feed her something cooling, feed her something cooling. So she started giving her rice and milk, and then rice without any kind of spicy items, and then she just kept on feeding the child, even though the child was saying, Are Baba, I can't eat. I feel so pukish. My tummy is hurting. I have burning in my tummy. Are little by little, look at you, how weak you have become. You become so tired. You need to eat some food. You need to eat some food. I'm going to just give her some cooling food. So then the child started having burning fevers towards the night time. Why do children start having high fevers towards the end of the day? At the night time, especially, why do they have fevers when the morning time they're hale, happy, healthy, and then they're playing together. And by night time, again the fever comes on. It's almost day 4, and the child hasn't had a bowel movement yet, and the rash is looking very milky. So what do I do next? What do I know do next? Now it looks like she's also having the baby is having earache too the next day. The ear is hurting, severe ear hurting, and then the baby is crying. and also the cough is coming up. So next the mother started giving paracetamol started going in because the pain is there, the child is crying, the mother is like, everybody's like, do something, do something, the child is in lot of distress. So the cooling foods are going in on one hand, paracetamol is going on in one hand, the child hasn't had a bowel movement on one hand, and this is going on in the household. Anybody familiar with this situation? I'm pretty sure we all have done that. The ear is hurting, the child is crying in the background, the husband is yelling, and then everybody is getting ready to go to the pediatrician. Immediately the pediatrician's appointment is available, and then we all line up to go to the pediatrician's office. So familiar with this situation? So next slide. So what are so today now I'm going to introduce Swati Dariwal. రాలేదు. So we are going to introduce. I'm going to introduce Swati Dariwal to this meeting. So if there is one person I'm going to be extremely jealous of, that would be Swati, or envy about, that would be Swati, because Swati grew up in the lap of natural hygiene. Blessed are the souls whose parents knew about natural hygiene, and then they were able to raise their children in a hygienic way, and they knew everything about it. And really, really, it's a blessing to raise a child that way. So, Swati, are you there?
Yeah. Hi, Prashanti. I'm here.
Yeah,
Can you
hey,
hear me?
I'm good. I'm good. So yeah, so Swati was like, Swati, I just talked about this case. So what do you think is going wrong with this child? So next slide, Asha. So what do you think is happening? What do you think about all the pox fevers? Are these pox fevers as deadly and dangerous as they talk about? So here are some of the questions. So can you just like talk to us, and then lot of
Yes.
mothers really, like, if you look at the news every other day in the US, there is like a case of measles, so the whole house is quarantined, the whole state is quarantined, and then everybody is like, all these doctors and physicians are like, we are going to, even though my child is only 6 months, she's not ready for the MMR, I'm going to start giving the cupcake injections even at the 6 months age. So what do you think is all this hangama about?
Yes. So, thank you so much, Prashanti, for introducing me and giving this opportunity to talk about fever. So, in the regional languages, as you put here, usually people consider any kind of poxes as a mata, or in Tamil also they call it as amma. So it is like, we call it as we just give it a religious connotation, and people try to isolate. They keep you in a separate space, and try to give you all these cooling foods, thinking like the mother, the holy mother, or the deity, she's upset, she's angry with you, and make her happy, you need uh, to calm her down or to cool her down, you need to give all these calming and cooling foods to the child. But actually the fact here is completely, like, if you actually look at it from the technical point of view, what is happening, like, whenever there's a fever, uh, even before a rash shows up, very often you will see that either the body will start having a temperature first, or sometimes you can have the rashes first and then the temperature coming in. So what actually is happening is, when the gut is messed up, when there's a lot of toxic matter accumulated or a lot of old matter accumulated in the gut, the body decides somewhere that now it's high time that we need to do a major cleanup. We need to remove all this stuff for the body to be able to function in a better manner. So what it does is, it tries to accumulate or collect as much vitality as possible, because without a lot of vitality, without the availability of a lot of vitality, the body cannot raise a fever. The body cannot raise its temperature on its own. Just imagine, like, this normal body, if I have to raise my temperature, how am I going to do it? Like, do I need some external help to raise my temperature? It just cannot happen on its own. So the body needs to collect a lot of its energy, save a lot of its energy to create this heat in my body, so that this heat is able to melt all the toxic matter that's in there. So this is a process that the body takes up only when it knows that it has enough time and energy available to itself, because it's going to be a huge process. So it has to do it until it's completely done. So it's going to take its own time. So when these rashes appear, it's actually very often when we look at it, people say like, okay, this in the allopathic world they'll call it like this is a particular kind of infection, a particular kind of virus, or a particular kind of germ that's working here. But actually, when you look at it from the nature's point of view, there's a lot of old matter sitting in the system. There's a lot of old stuff sitting in the gut, and the body has to throw it out. So very often what happens is, like, as you know, there are a lot of germs or bacteria or around us 24/7 always. But there are certain uh, when there's this old matter in there, then obviously there'll be some scavengers. We call these germs as scavengers, who start eating up on this old matter and try to finish that off. So it is nature's process of trying to remove the old matter from the system. So in that process, you will see that the toxic matter, it is trying to be thrown out through different channels. Like one of the eliminatory channels is our skin. So you can see that a lot of stuff is just trying to ooze out through the skin. So you have the rashes coming up. So it's just a way that the body is trying to remove the toxic matter from the body. So in this process, what we have done is, now we are trying to give the child a lot of cooling foods. In the name of cooling foods, people end up giving curd rice, or people end up giving a lot of in the name of cold foods. I don't exactly remember what they're fed.
Like rice and
Yes,
tomato, like rasam, rice, and I
yes,
mean I remember like cooling foods
simple
were
foods.
milk and buttermilk. People, that's
Yes,
what they think. Cool means like it's going to keep
cool.
the tummy cool. But what
Yes.
exactly is cooling foods in like according to natural hygiene?
Yes. According to natural hygiene, the actual cooling foods are the foods which are going to use up the least of your energy to process.
Mm,
So the
mm,
best thing that we can do is, we can just give the child more fruits, or maybe coconut water, which is actually cooling. And
mhm.
even better, like if you actually try to listen to the child might not even be that hungry. The child might not even have the appetite to eat something. So it's better to avoid giving the child anything until the child demands that I am hungry, just give me something. Then you might just give the child some citrus fruit or some fruit that the child can eat for that time. And you will see that the child is not going to have a large appetite. The child is going to eat just a little and say, I don't want to eat anything more than this. So this is how the body is trying to conserve all its energy. It is not giving rise to any appetite, because it wants to use up all the energy to clean up the gut, to clean up all the old matter that's sitting inside the system. So this temperature keeps rising every evening, so that a major cleanup is being done. The major removal of toxic matter, or breaking down of the toxic matter, is being done. And through the night, the body is just trying to breaking down the toxic matter and moving it towards the channels of elimination. And every morning, when you have a bowel movement, when the child passes urine, it is the toxins that were broken down during the night, which are being passed out. So the child feels a little bit more relaxed and lesser fever in the mornings. So it's a
Yeah,
process. The body has to do it in it just can't keep keeping a high temperature all the time. It has to go through its own process, like layer by layer, portion by portion. It has to clear up. So it takes its own number of days, wherein it is able to clean up the whole system. So when there's a fever, the body is prepared to do a complete cleanup. But what we do is, instead of supporting this, we are obstructing this major cleanup that's happening by putting in some chemicals to suppress this temperature that the body has used so much of energy to give rise to. So it's like, to me, it looks like it's a civil, you're creating a civil war in your body. Like the body, the all the soldiers in your body have prepared to throw out all the toxic matter that's inside the body. But now we are trying to introduce some chemicals from outside to suppress the soldiers inside our system, which have geared up to do a major cleanup. So it's like you are creating a war inside your system now, and you are suppressing the soldiers which have geared up inside your system, and you have made the body to keep those toxins still lying around. And the body then feels tired and weak because it has to fight two things at the same time. The body is fighting the toxic, trying to remove all the toxic matter from the body, and at the same time, it has to deal with the chemicals that have been introduced in the system.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this in the long run actually can become a bit longer, and even it can become more complicated over the time, because the body is still trying to struggle, like it's trying to just try to find that space, that small gap where it can again try to remove all the toxic matter. So it's a constant struggle between the chemicals and the body. Like every single day you
Hmm.
have to keep giving the medicines to suppress again, but the next day again the body is up in the arms trying to remove the toxins. So this keeps on happening until one fine day the body decides to give up and says, okay, fine, I put my arms down, and that's it. So this is when the you will see that, okay, now the fever is gone and the child is fine. But then in the long run, what's happening is the toxins are still in there. The body has not been able to get rid of the toxic matter that was sitting in there, and it now it has one more thing to deal with, the chemicals that have gone in. So over the time, this is going to build up and going to create more trouble for the child.
Hmm. Yeah.
I've explained that
So
well.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, Swati, for this explanation. So, can we just say measles is a measles is a much needed detox
It
in order
is.
to, like,
It is.
as a rite of passage, and
Yes.
measles or any kind of pox fevers, because of the amount of toxic offload that they do, is considered as the mother of all detox, and it really should be encouraged to happen to the body. And also, there is a reason, right? Why every culture calls it with a mother name. Like, in Andhra, it would be like Peddamavaru, Chinnamavaru. I think it's pretty much
Yeah.
Badima, Chotlima in Hindi. So that's the reason why you call it mother of all detoxes, because the amount of load of toxins that is going to come out through the skin is just going to be phenomenal amount of it. I had measles, and it's really done wonders to my body. So, yeah, that I can say for sure. So, there is a
There's a good
question from
question.
Inderpriya. Many times the pox seems contagious when one person gets either one or two surrounded, ended up with same chicken pox. Maybe you want to quickly talk about that nature,
Yes.
because everybody thinks it's going to jump from one person to another, and that's where the virus, the so called virus etiology, has come in. But again, when
Yes.
there is no virus and it's just the body cleaning up, what are we guys injecting ourselves with these in the name of cupcake injections?
Yeah. So a
Something
very
to
good
ponder
question.
on.
Yes, very good question here. When one person gets a particular kind of fever in a family, then why is everybody else ending up having the same kind of fever? The thing is, like, everybody in the family have been living in the same environment, eating the same kinds of foods, and I'm sure their vitalities are also going to be lower. Only then the body, the scavengers can actually start affecting them also, and their bodies can also start doing a major cleanup. So this is possible. But if by chance there's one particular person in the family who does not have that much of a toxic backlog, that person might end up not having this kind of an infection at all. But usually that's not the case, because everybody is eating the same way in a family, everybody is living the same way in a family, so everybody can end up having the same kind of a infection, one after the other.
Okay. Yeah,
Yep.
so that did that answer in the Priya. But the thing is, you guys need to learn to embrace these pox fevers, pox parties. Once upon a time, this chicken pox parties, all of these things used to be done, used to be handled very well at homes only, until the media started intervening and then started putting all these fake news about these Texas children. Everything starts in Texas because, Texas, a lot of people are not into all these cupcakes. So they just want to bring it up, and then all these things all the news comes from the US, New York, or from Texas, and then everybody in India, again, all the big city people in India, all these educated, so-called educated sections, are just going to line up for cupcake injections. But there is a danger to it, and it's extremely dangerous. So the ear infections, whatever, these are the complications. So as Swati has explained, right, the cooling foods, the so-called cooling foods and fever suppressions are the ones that lead to complications. I can tell you, my sister was one of those. She was a Cerelac baby, and she was only a starch and a rice baby for a while. And then the amount of complications she had from measles, like, like not complications, but it took a long time. Even her ears were filled up with pox, like a significant amount of pox has happened to her. I had it first, then she had it next, within a span of 10-15 days. I had it a very easy way, and she had like a very, very complicated way of getting into it, because her baseline was not great at the time when she started off. So yeah. So let's see what the next slide is. I don't remember it. But as Swati has mentioned, so what are the three P's, Swati? Can you just elaborate on the three P's that we talk about in natural hygiene when we are handling these acute healing crisis?
Yeah, thank you. So when anybody who is going through a fever, the only thing that we need to take care of is taking care of these three P's. Three P's is like taking a rest at physical, physiological, and psychological. Like you need to rest at all three levels. Like physically, you need to completely be in the bed, lie down, do nothing, just cover yourself up and do nothing. Physiological, you have to stop eating also, because you don't want to give your body any extra work. You need to give your body all the energy that's available to it to do the major cleanup that it needs to do from inside. So when you are not going to introduce any food, if you're not going to eat any extra heavy starchy stuff, which usually people end up saying like you are looking so weak, or you might become more weak, so please eat the bread, or please eat this rice. So if you're going to eat all these starchy and heavy foods, the body will end up having to deal with this food too. So its energy is going to get divided between digestion of this food or the cleanup that it has already started with. So we suggest that you don't eat especially any of these heavy starchy foods. If you have to eat, then let it be something very simple like a fruit or or coconut water, or even better, just fast until you really really feel like you need to eat something. So you give your physiological body also a rest. And the third rest is the psychological rest, and that is the rest at your mind space. Don't involve in any kind of gossips or talks, or don't involve in any kind of management or in any work. Just let yourself be at peace. So rest at three levels. So always remember, there's only one thing that you need to do: rest, rest, and rest, and nothing else. So resting at the physical, mental, and physiological level. So when you're resting, the body has all the energy to itself, and all this energy is directed inside and doing the cleaning. And that's the reason why you are tired. You don't have energy available outside to do anything else, because all the energy is being used up inside to do the major cleanup. So when you are not going to involve yourself in any other activity, all the energy is going to be used up in the cleanup. And once it has finished with the cleaning up, you will start feeling like your energies are getting like you have more energy available to do the other things also. And slowly you will see that your appetite is coming back. So that is, it's very simple. You just need to listen to your body. When your body is tired, when your body has a lot of aches and pains, when your body you have a headache, when you don't have an appetite, you just have to be at rest and do nothing, eat nothing, and speak or work nothing. Just rest, rest, and rest. Yeah.
I think, yeah, everybody needs to take a screenshot of it and listen to this three P's, because we are going to be visiting three P's all the time when we talk about when natural hygiene is all about three P's. It's all about three P's. So you guys need to take a screenshot and understand all these things about what Swati has explained: physical rest, digestive rest, and mental rest. Remember what happened during COVID time? जो डर गए वो हॉस्पिटल में एडमिट हो गए. Remember, that's what happened, right? So the fear of the fever. Everybody is like, अरे Madras Chennai तक आ गया, then Bangalore कब आएगा, ये सब. And then remember all those days, or it, totally you guys have erased them out of your memories? So so what did I say? जो डर गए वो hospital में admit हो गए. So are you guys still fearful about pox fevers? Are you still working on those fears about it? Then what do you guys think about it. Like how many times, like anybody has raised like had a kid who had a pox fever recently. See, the full blown pox fever is not happening anymore because of the kind of conditions that we are living in, and also children have very low amount of vitality, considering the amount of cupcake injections and pharmaceuticals, and the parents, the amount of toxicity that has been passed on from generations, very low vitality at this point. So you don't see classic measles or classic chickenpox anymore. So you guys, if you see a baby with any kind of like rashes or anything, don't fear a rash. Don't fear a rash. So yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Swati, you want to say something? What is the next slide, Asha? I don't know the next one.
Like yeah, during COVID, it was really very funny to look around, like how everybody was getting this fever. And I
Mm.
think whoever masterminded it just actually planned it so well. Like they actually made sure that everybody could get it by raising a lot of fear in everybody, asking everybody to have those masks so that they did not really breathe fresh air constantly. And they isolated people, they made you stay indoors, so they made sure that everybody got the fever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then people were just using the time to do kana kajana videos, and then they were
True,
started to eat extremely dense foods at home, and then they
true.
started drenching their fruits and vegetables with what people were washing with Dettol. I remember seeing some of the videos. Huh? Yeah, or sodium bicarbonate, whatever they were doing. So remember what has happened. So anybody has questions about pox fevers, this needs to be revisited multiple times. Every time there is a fear of something in New York, something in Texas, people don't run and don't live in fear about it. Yeah, about this pox fevers. But once you understand the three important things, pox is the mother of all detox. It's an important passage, like rites of passage into adulthood or to achieve their next milestone. And you should not be interfering with the pox fever, because the mother is really going to get angry. I mean that it's going to get like lead to complications if you interfere with this. And there is nothing like a cooling food when you start cooking it. When you cook it, there the cooling, it's heated food only. It keeps the body heated. So cooling foods are, as what Swati has explained, it's the fruits and the fruit juices, coconut water, and not even feeding the system sometimes. Like feeding the child when the child is not ready for it. Yeah, so measles, we can do an extensive talk about it. Maybe we can just talk more about it as measles, but every time there is a fear about it, maybe we can just put it all together again and again and talk to parents and not to inject their children in the name of fear with this cupcake injections. So, Swati, what is the main thing that you're seeing with all these measles cupcake injections? One common underlying thing that you have seen that really breaks my heart with these cupcake injections, measles cupcake injections. The thing, Andrew Wakefield. Anybody know about Andrew Wakefield and what his research was all about? Or and one quick thing that you want to talk about measles cupcake injections, Swati. I mean, like autism spectrum children, like the children
Yeah,
who've been
yeah.
exposed to measles cupcakes. Yeah.
So what we have seen is like almost every child today seems to be affected by some health issue or the other. And as we know, everybody has had all these vaccinations. And majorly, the autistic children, they are all like just before the vaccinations, the kids would have had, the babies would have been like very much normal. And after the vaccine, slowly the parents have observed that the child has started becoming very dull and non-responsive. So it's a very clear cut connection between the measles cupcakes or and the downfall in the child's health, because the chemicals in the injections, they actually go and lodge into your brain, and it actually affects the system and the body. The brain actually starts functioning in a very slowed down manner and ends up in what you call as autism these days. So it's a very clear cut, like I've had many cases where the parents have come to me with a 4-year child or a 7-year-old child with autism, and when I speak to them, this is what I come to know. Like just before the shot, The child was functioning normally, the child was responding very, very normally. But after the shot, within when the next day when the child has got the fever, after that the child's health deteriorated very drastically. So it's a very clear cut connection, but the parents very often miss out on observing that, and they don't even realize the connection between the uh, uh,
Yeah.
vaccines and yes,
No, we have many children. See, whenever the cupcakes are injected, then the body immediately raises the fever in order to get the cleanup done. So then what
yes,
happens is the fever has been interfered with, and then the body is like, "Arey Baba, what do you want me to do with all this load you're putting on me?" And that's when that's when things go south. So
yes.
I want to address this question of Sushma. I know of a 10-year-old boy who had 104-degree temperature because of sunstroke and died. So Sushma, are you just here to instill fear, or are you here to empower people with better knowledge? So I know a lot of things about everybody, but the 10-year-old boy. So what else is going on with him? What did they do in addition to the 104-degree fever? What did they do? What kind of interventions were done? See, an inadequate history is what allopathy has been messing us up with. And now you also want to create the same amount of fear with no amount of proper history that is given to us, just a one statement to instill again the fear in people. Is this the right way to approach, Sushma? Come on,
I can
guys. We are trying here. Yeah, go ahead, Swati.
I can tell something
Yeah,
here.
go ahead. Explain. Yeah.
So very often what happens is we only see the two things happening, like the child had fever and the child expired. So these are the only things you are able to look at over here, and nobody gives a second thought to anything else that could still have been happening behind the scene. So what I have seen in all these years of my practice is, like, there is no fever uh, ever which has ended up in killing a human being, because the fever has been raised by the body to do a major cleanup. So the human system, the human body, or the life force in us tries to live in any given case, in any given scenario, in any given
Mm.
situation. It wants to keep on living. Then what happens when there's a fever and the child ends up dying? So what has happened here is, some somehow somewhere we have interfered with the process of the body, because the body is so intelligent, the body is so smart, the body has been instilled with a software of its own, and it knows how to keep itself alive in any given case. The way we are feeding ourselves these days, the way we are living these days, actually it's a surprise how we are still existing. So it's nothing but thanks to the system, the body that we have, which is so intelligent and smart that even though we are abusing it so much, it is still able to live on. So this life force in us will at any cost try to live on. So when there's a fever, the body has raised the fever. The fever has not come from outside. The body has raised the fever on its own so that it can do a major cleanup. So when the body is cleaning up, by chance you try to interfere with it in some way, that is when the body might not be able to handle both the things at the same time, and it might break down. But otherwise there's no chance that the body is going to raise a fever to kill itself. No, that never happens unless you have interfered with it.
Yeah, very well said, Swati. Thank you. Yeah. See, the thing is, we can live in fear all our life, or we can think, wear a critical thinking cap, and then let's figure out, okay, what else has happened? We should be Sherlock Holmes, not just reading the headlines of the newspaper and then reacting to that. So, yeah, many a times, many lives have been just been destroyed just because we decided to read only the headlines of news. So, yeah. What is the next one? So next slide. We have two more
I think
cases, and then we will be
we should take some queries in the comment section. Like,
okay.
there's Deepak who is saying that
It's a miracle to
if there
derive
is no
nutrition.
immune system, why most people don't get chicken pox twice in life?
Very good question.
What did you say?
Very good question. Yeah. So what happens is, it's a kind of a cleanup that the body has done. And again, and during this process, the body has actually done a major cleanup. So over the time, the body is going to accumulate different kinds of toxic matter, different kinds of foods, and at a different age, the body's availability of vitality is going to be different. So you don't really have to get the same kind of infection or the same kind of what to say symptoms to clear up
Detox.
detox to
Yeah.
for
But
the
do you
detoxin.
know what happens, Deepak, when you're 65 and when you're on a standard American diet? What happens? They do get shingles. So, what exactly is shingles? So what exactly is shingles? It's like, when you're young you get chicken pox. When you're older you get shingles. Shingles, that's what they call it as. It's a chicken pox that is waking up in the system. Again, it's the same kind of a detox. So you do get it a couple of times, but then what happens is the human changes, their diet changes, their environment changes, the amount of pharmaceutical load changes, the vital power changes, right? So you won't be able to have a same robust kind of a detox at the same time. So, yeah. So that's where this is. So I think we kind of knocked down pox, fevers, and rashes. Hopefully, people will stop reacting to fear. And next time, Divyansh, whenever
Just
it
one
is,
doubt.
mm-hmm,
Yeah. Then, okay. And then Shushma has said another one. Like, I know a 10-year-old boy who had 104 degree temperature, died because of sunstroke until he was taken to the hospital. So, my question is not to instill fear, but how to know the reason for fever.
I have two examples to state here. One about 104-degree temperature, and the other with the temperature that has really like gone to the brain, and the child has become a bit delirious due to the temperature that's like the heat that's entered the brain. Okay, so these two examples are from my family. One is my own brother, and we were kids, I remember. And as Prashanti had already said, like my father, he was a nature care practitioner, and my brother, he had fever, and the fever had gone like it has extended like it was really too high. And the, my brother, he just became a little bit delirious because of the high temperature. So my father was such a staunch believer in natural hygiene. Like even though the whole family, my grandpa, grandma, everybody was trying to force him to take the child to the hospital, but he was so much a staunch believer in nature cure. He said, "This is nothing but the body trying to clean itself up. So I'm just going to support this body, and not try to really interfere with the process." So he just allowed the child, my brother, just to lie down on a mat all through the night. He just put some wet packs on the forehead, and he just allowed him to be on a fast. Like literally, like when the child is in such a state, like he literally cannot eat or drink anything much. So we were just giving him little by little of water. And what happened? Like after one night of going through this high temperature, the next morning the fever just started subsiding, and he became he came back to normalcy. And within a couple of days, the fever was cleared up because the toxic matter had been cleared up. Because the only protocol that we would follow was uh, literally like put the child on fast until the child is demanding for something. And when the child is demanding for something, then it would just be the coconut water or the fruits, and that too the citrus fruits. And no what to say, like we wouldn't give any dense fruits, only watery juicy fruits. So, and that too only if the child was demanding. So this is a very clear cut example where I can tell you, like the child was actually in a very bad state. And even though he did not seem to look like he might recover from that fever, from that state of deliriousness, but my father's like confidence in the natural system in nature was so strong that he just allowed the child to go through that process.
Also, one more point that we could add here for the sunstroke, that it is uh, it is a state of dehydration. Whenever a
Exactly.
person comes for sunstroke, even in the medical field that we do, it's just the first primary thing we have to do is restore
Great.
the hydration of that person. It is because the person has sweated a lot, there is so much dehydration in the body. So that, see, sweating is a mechanism to lower the body temperature. So whenever your body is so much dehydrated, and it's out there in the sun, and it's heating up, and it is not able to sweat because of the lack of or the less amount of fluids in the body, it will just keep on heating up because of the sun, and you won't be able to sweat, and that dehydration leads to sunstroke. So the food that we are eating is dehydrating, and that's why maybe that boy who's had like so much of dehydration had that sunstroke and he died. So I'm just want to emphasize that even the kids nowadays, like my siblings are like 11 and 12 years old right now, and they are like they come from the school and they cannot finish their 1 liter of bottle until like afternoon or evening whenever they come at home, like at 3 o'clock. Since morning they are not able to, because in the schools they have their specific times, like only during lunch break you have to go and drink water, because the tiffin bags are kept outside or they're kept somewhere far away. So they have to ask permission that, ma'am, can I go and drink water? Ma'am, can I go and go to washroom? So because of that, uh, some kids are hesitant, and some kids don't want to go frequently, and some schools don't allow them to have, like, even in my medical college, during the lecture, whenever I used to drink water so frequently, my professor, she said that to me, you're not even speaking, you're just listening to me, how dare you like drink so much water in front of me. So they're not allowing anybody to drink so much of water. So there's and kids are not aware of that, how much water they should be taking. They are more, in the feared state in the school, and that's why, this chronic dehydration can lead to such conditions. That's all I had to say.
Yeah.
Shall we go ahead with the rest of the?
It's almost at 8. What time is it? 8:30. It's up to you guys, but again, those two cases also need some amount of discussion. I don't know how much of bandwidth the audience have,
Then
because
I
for us
think
we
we
can.
can go ahead with the testimonials, or like if you were
No,
sharing
no, no, no,
the.
no.
Yes,
I have
we'll
to.
take it.
No, let's just do some other day, because this is like almost what 1.5 hour has gone by, right?
Yes.
It's 8:30. Yeah, almost
Yeah.
8:30.
Yeah. So can we do as a second, like, halt the slides here and then do a second part to it?
Yes.
Yeah.
We can
Yeah.
do that, and we can take some queries as well next time, like more
Yeah.
queries, elaborate on them.
Yeah. Okay, so I hope we've kind of like gave some amount of idea and some meaning to like this fever is the cure topic. But I hope next time onwards you're not going to just react, but learn to understand how to take a proper history, and then understand the ins and out what happened.
So I'm taking down the screenshots of the queries, and we'll cover it in the next session.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
So
each
we can just
every
cover
query
them
will
together.
go for like around 10 minutes of discussion. So we'll take it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. Chalo, फिर.
Okay.
Thank you
Yeah.
everyone for joining, and please keep on sharing these links with your close friends and your family members and everybody, because everybody has a lot of misconceptions regarding this. Thank you, Swati, for giving your time and coming for this session.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Prashanti. Thank you, Asha, like for you know helping us organize all this, and we are all teaming up just to reach out to people and help them to get from the truth instead of being in fear.
Yeah, I mean, thanks to everyone. We are all part of one family, all here trying to. I mean, actually, we are a very small part of the whole, right? Where we are flowing against the
We are
tide. So
connected
everyone
from
is sharing, trying to learn and help each other. Yeah, and of course, Divyansh and Ranjita and all these people who've been sharing the links and getting more and more people to come. Unfortunately,
also
we couldn't
special
get
thanks
them.
to Nandini Gulati, who's making this platform available for us here, because we are connected from different parts of the globe here and we are putting all our efforts for this meetings. So please do share these links, and we'll all see you in the next session.
Thank you.
Chalo. Okay. Good
Uh-huh.
night.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.